One of the questions that I get asked a lot is, how do I make my dismissive avoidant partner work things out with me? And so a lot of times that I will tell people like to give them space to process and back off of a conversation until they have time to process it, because they're very, very slow processors. And the thing that I keep getting back the comment is, well, they don't come back to it. That is the key, one of the key factors of a dismissive avoidant, right? They like to brush the conflict under the rug. So why is that? What do we do about that? Leslie Wells, Connection Coach here. I have this fear of TikTok going away because of this ban. So if you're not already following me on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, go ahead and follow and subscribe there so you can keep getting this content. So if you're not familiar with the dismissive avoidant, go back. You've got a lot of catching up to do. There's lots of more in-depth stuff on my videos that you can go and find on them. But the DA, the dismissive avoidant, they typically do not like conflict. And so their core need is peace and harmony, because they really don't know what to do with emotions, and they're very uncomfortable with vulnerability and being seen because they feel like they are inherently broken. And so they will avoid conflict at all costs. It feels awful to them. They are very quickly overwhelmed by it and by their partner's feelings, and they tend to go into a trauma response where they shut down, withdraw, and disassociate. Sometimes they will go into a full freeze response where there's really nothing going on in their head. And so when you ask what's going on or how they feel about something, they will literally shrug their shoulders and say, I don't know. And they're not kidding you. They really don't know. There's no thoughts going on right there. They're just sort of frozen internally. So conflict is a part of relationships. Things are going to come up. You're going to have to give feedback, and you're going to have to resolve things and work through them. And so conflict, when done right with two securely attached individuals, can lead to far more intimacy, trust, and safety within a relationship. It's actually a good thing when it is approached properly. But for the dismissive avoidant, they don't know how to approach that. They've never seen that. They cannot stay in the experience of it because it feels so bad to them, and they go into that trauma response. So typically after somebody brings them a problem, they will push back maybe defensively for a little bit, and they will eventually go into that shutdown. And then after that, they will come back and act as if nothing has ever happened. They just sort of think, well, I'm going to give that person time to cool down. And then when they've had time, I'll just pretend like everything's okay, nothing's ever happened, and I just expect to jump back into things as normal, which does not work. Eventually, the other person is going to have so much resentment built up because things are never resolved, or you're going to have the same fight that comes up over and over again. And I have seen coaching clients and couples where this has happened. They're having the same fight 15 years later and nothing's get addressed. Eventually it gets to the point where one partner feels so unseen and so unheard and feels like they don't matter enough for the problems to be resolved, that they either just, there's two people living separately within a marriage, nobody's needs are getting met, or eventually there's so much resentment that one person eventually just ends up leaving the marriage. So it's a really bad situation to be in. So if you're the person with a DA, one of the things that is absolutely crucial in a relationship with a DA is to give them boundaries. They are not going to usually just change on their own. So typically when people are responding with insecure attachment style and they're going into a trauma response, they are in pain, right? So they've learned these adaptations to help them survive when they were in pain or when they were needed to go into survival mode to get their needs met. So they're acting from a place of pain. The only thing that is usually going to lead to change is feeling enough pain, feeling more pain to actually create a change. We see this in addicts, right? People don't usually quit their serious addictions until there's so much pain that they don't have a choice and they feel like they have no other way and they're prompted to change. So there are a couple things that you can do. One thing you can do is show them a video, show them a TikTok that talks about, maybe if you're anxiously attached, that talks about your attachment style, your interest in the attachment style. So you can say, look, I've been doing a little bit of research and I have found that I relate to what this is saying. Like, I can see me in this video. So let them know the journey that you're on, invite them into it, let them know that you're doing your work without pushing the work onto them. Encourage, like, don't let them think that they have to start their own healing journey, because then they will feel controlled. So just let them know what you're doing on your end and expose them to it. It's up to them at that point to see themselves in it, and a lot of times they will, and it takes time. Remember, they are slow processors. They typically process one thing at a time. So it may take them a lot longer to see themselves or to start sort of making those connections. That's one thing that you can do. The other thing that you're going to have to do if you are with a DA is set boundaries. And here's the thing. They're not going to like your boundaries. They're going to push back. They're going to feel controlled. They're going to feel trapped and stuck and smothered Newsflash, they already do feel those things in a relationship the minute there's commitment and expectations or conflict or anything that makes a relationship real. So they're already feeling that. And they're also not going to like it because they're going to feel controlled. But subconsciously, the DA will actually really respect and respond better to your boundaries. So it is a must. So when you've had a conflict and they brush it under the rug and they refuse to discuss it again, here's what's going to happen. Your boundary is going to be that your relationship does not look the same until there is a reconnect and this thing that is between you that has been unresolved has some sort of resolution. And you're going to make that clear. And you're going to honor that boundary. You're going to keep that boundary, and you're not going to act in a way that is childish. You're not going to act in protest behaviors. You're not going to come up and be unkind or uncompassionate to that person. You're not going to punish them and give them the silent treatment. That's not what you're going to do. You are going to show up in a securely attached way, but you are going to hold that boundary. So until that issue is resolved, your relationship is not the same. You are working on your own secure attachment and your ability to feel safe in the relationship. And when there is a disconnect that has not been resolved, your body, your brain, your nervous system is dysregulated and you do not feel safe. You've got to regain that safety. So instead of pouring into your partner in the same way that you typically would, you're going to step back and you're going to pour into yourself. Whenever they need something, instead of showing up for them in that, let's say that your spouse calls and your wife says, I really need you to do this and this so I can go work on this. You can't do that right then because you are tending to yourself because they will not co-regulate and they will not help calm down your nervous system with you. And so your response to that is going to be, I'm sorry, I can't show up for you in that way right now. Right now, there's something unresolved between us that I have to make sure that I take care of myself and get myself back to feeling secure and feeling safe and my body regulated again. So what I'm going to do is instead of being able to help you with that, I've got to go and I've got to do my breath work right now, or I've got to go get a massage, or I've got to take a walk, or I've got to meet up with a guy friend and have a drink because not too many, because obviously that would be avoidance and that would not be a good thing. But I'm going to go have a drink and I'm going to relax a little bit right now. And they're going to eventually realize that your relationship is not going to just pick up and carry on like it did before, as usual, as if things are okay. You're going to keep acting this way until they realize that they're going to have to come to the table and have a conversation. And until they do that, that boundary holds. If you don't do this, if you do not hold this boundary and you do not work to regulate your nervous system and create safety for you and maintain your secure attachment, and part of being securely attached is being able to set and uphold boundaries. If you don't do that, over time, the more that this goes on and on and on, you're going to build resentment, which is going to create far more disconnect in your relationship, or you're going to become very anxiously attached and you're going to lose your secure attachment if you have it, or if you're on your way to getting it. But whatever happens, you're going to become more insecurely attached, and that is eventually going to have an effect on you. And so it really is crucial for you and the safety of the relationship for you to be able to maintain your boundaries. If you do not maintain your boundaries, you are also creating a very unsafe place for your DA, because you are showing up in a way for them that is not authentic. You're not being transparent. You're hiding what's going to eventually be a lot of resentment. You're going to be pretending that things are okay when in fact they are not okay for you. And so you're creating your own type of disconnect by not setting and maintaining the boundaries. And you're actually harming the relationship and your DA whenever you're not upholding your boundaries. So it is scary. They will push back. They will get angry. But the truth is that there's already a disconnect. And you're not making it worse, you're drawing attention to it, and your goal is to try to repair it. So if they turn around and run and they won't come back to it, they're the ones that are choosing not to repair and that are allowing that disconnect to continue. And you don't want to eventually lose yourself and who you are and your safety and your regulation in the relationship because you're afraid of their response. Eventually, that's going to lead to long-term physical and health effects for you, and you suppressing all of your own needs and things that are important to you. And that's dangerous to you, and it's dangerous to the relationship. And you're going to eventually end up showing up in ways that are not at all respectful and responsive and kind to your partner. So it's going to end up hurting them too. So if you truly care about your DA and you want to show up well for them and you want to honor your relationship and yourself and your own needs, then it is absolutely crucial that you set hard boundaries around resolving conflict and you don't back down from those.